This episode is going to be amazing to help set you up for success, to absolutely crush and dominate your 2023 goals. 'Tis the season of the new year where everyone goes and sets New Year's resolutions, and we take a very honest look at our life and say, okay, what do I gotta change? What habits do I need to implement? What needs to shift in who I am and how I show up in the world? And I am so for that. I am all for the taking a radical look at your life and being really honest about what habits need to change. How do I need to shift my thinking? Do I need to change my schedule? Do I need to wake up earlier? Do I need to get rid of this negative habit that's no longer serving me? How can I get better? I am so for this mindset. What I don't love is that this mindset only comes around for a majority of people once a year. January 1st is really the only time a lot of people take a look at their life and take a look at the way that they're living and take a look at their habits and take a look at their finances and take a look at their health and say, am I happy or am I not happy? Are these things serving me or are they not serving me? And they only do this once a year. And most people set these resolutions, decide on this person that they want to be, and then they try and change their life overnight and change 15 habits at once. And they try to wake up earlier and eat better and quit drinking alcohol and be more present with their kids and be more productive in a day and go to the gym and become vegan, like all in it one day. They just like try to be this entirely new person. And then it lasts for about a day and a half, and then they get frustrated that they weren't consistent, and then they fall off track till January 1st again. Well, that's never going to create lasting change. And what I really hope is that people can eventually start to ask these questions of themselves continuously throughout the year. I used to be that person. I used to be that person who only evaluated her progress and where I was at in the world and the things that I wanted to do and the things that I needed to shift in myself and the things that I needed to improve. I used to only evaluate that once a year on January 1st. When my life really started to change and I really started to show up differently was when I started to constantly and consistently evaluate this in myself and ask myself, how can I get better? What needs to change? Why am I stuck? How can I make a 1% improvement today? How can I be 1% better today than I was yesterday? What needs to shift? How can I grow? What needs to change? How can I get to the next step? And I'm constantly asking myself this. I'm constantly rewriting this next best version of myself because I don't have time to wait a whole year to ask these questions. If you can work on asking yourself this question multiple times throughout the year, maybe once a month. Set up a practice where you evaluate. I know the top performers evaluate once a week. What did I do well this week? What can I improve? They're evaluating daily, weekly. The more you can evaluate and ask yourself what needs to shift, what's working, what's not working. Plan, do, review is my mentor's philosophy that I've adopted. I make a plan, I do it, I review it. And do it over and over and over again and keep refining and keep improving and keep making these shifts and these changes, you will unlock the next best version of yourself so much faster. And then the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one. So I absolutely used to be this person who only evaluated her life come January 1st. And then I would do that same thing where I would say, okay, I need to just completely change my life. And then I would get frustrated when I wasn't able to sustain all of these changes in a day. I wanted to wake up earlier and journal and meditate and exercise in the morning and make sure that I read my book and then also eat healthier, like all of these things. And then I couldn't do it all in a day and I'd get frustrated and I would quit. And I'm so big on consistency. If you've ever heard me talk, I'm huge on consistency. Consistency is key. Consistency will absolutely change anything in your life if you can be consistent with a certain habit over and over and over and over and over and over again. Consistency is the secret sauce to being successful in anything. But where I think most people go wrong and where I used to go wrong is I would, even on the good years, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to implement this habit. And I would start doing the habit, let's say going to the gym. Anyone else guilty of this? You start going to the gym. You're crushing it. You're crushing this New Year's resolution. You're like, I got this year in the bag. I'm 2 weeks strong. I feel incredible. This is amazing. Going on 3 weeks, going on 4 weeks. You're like, this is the longest I've ever been consistent with my new workout routine. And then you skip a day. Then the one missed day turns into 2 missed days. 2 missed days turns into 3 missed days. 3 missed days turns into a week. A week turns into a month. And then you're like, oh, dang it. I fell off my habit again. And then sometimes that month turns into 6 months or even a year. And then January 1st comes around again. And you're like, okay, I'm going to really do it this time. So many people often allow missing their habit one time to completely derail them. That 1 day into 2 days will almost always turn into 3 days that you miss it. It's crazy, the compound effect of missing your habit and how easy it is to fall off track. It's sneaky. It's so sneaky. And it's so easy to justify saying, oh, well, I missed the day before, so, oh, well, not a big deal if I don't go today. And once you fall out of that consistency routine, it's so easy to just let things slide. So I learned this philosophy from the book Atomic Habits. It's a phenomenal book. If you need a great read for 2023, Atomic Habits is amazing. And this really helped me reframe my mindset on consistency and reframe my mindset on building new habits and not allow myself to fall into the slippery slope of being human. Let's just make that note right here, of being human and missing a day of your habit. It's okay to be human. It's okay to not hit your habits every day. It's okay if you mess up. It's okay if you said, I was going to go to the gym today and you didn't make it. Yes, it's important to keep promises to yourself, but sometimes life just happens and things just don't go the way that you want them to. Congratulations, you're human. That's okay. What's not okay and where people go wrong is they allow that one mess up. They allow that 1 day miss. They allow the 1 day of life happening to completely throw them off track. So the philosophy from Atomic Habits is never miss twice. And I really want to encourage you to adopt this philosophy as you're implementing new habits for 2023, to give yourself a little bit of grace, but also to keep up with the consistency to accelerate yourself towards your goals in this new year. So the philosophy of never skip twice goes like this. Just commit to never missing your habit 2 days in a row. I know it sounds overly simplistic, but you'll be so surprised at how helpful it is. So let's say we'll go back to the gym analogy. Let's say you're committed to going to the gym. Great, you went 5 days in a row. And then on the 6th day, you accidentally missed going to the gym. Okay, no big deal. Next day, just get back on track. Stay committed to your habit. Stay committed to your goal. Now, let's say you hit your habit the next day and then you miss again the following day. No problem at all. No need to go into the shame cycle, the guilt cycle. I'm the worst. I messed up. I'm so terrible. I feel like that mindset right there is what gets a lot of people to stay off track, because we allow ourselves to go into this shame cycle. Oh, how terrible am I that I messed up? And then it's negative self-talk, negative shame cycle. And then we just wallow there in our pity, just feeling so upset that we messed up. Back to congratulations, you're human. Just commit to never missing twice and get back on the bandwagon tomorrow. Hell or high water. And I'll tell you, sometimes when I miss my habit a day and then the next day comes and life is also happening that next day, and I'm like, I'm committed to not missing twice, but this day is challenging me. Some days it is so hard to commit to this, because life happens multiple days in a row, but it is so powerful when you can commit to never missing twice. Because even if you hit your habit one day, you miss the next. You hit your habit the next day, you miss the next. You hit your habit the next day, you miss the next. And you just keep this pattern going. Every other day you miss. Every other day you are not doing your habit. But that also means every other day you are doing your habit. Every other day you are keeping your promise to yourself. At that rate, if you were just every other day, you are still hitting your habit 50% of the time. 50%. 50% odds. I would take those odds all day long. 50% of the time is landslides ahead of everyone else who's doing the yo-yo thing, where they're consistent for 2 weeks, they miss a day, they fall off track for a month. Get back on track, they're consistent for a week, they miss a day, they fall off track for another week. Then they get back on track and they're consistent for 3 months and they fall off track and now they miss 3 more months. People do this all year long, year after year after year, and they don't know why they're not making progress. It's because they're not committed to the consistency. But if you can just be committed to this one simple philosophy, it's going to be a game changer for you in developing new habits and also making those habits last to where you'll be able to see the compound effect of the consistency. The compound effect is a very real thing. It's an invisible force that you have no idea is going on because you can't really see it in the day-to-day. You can't see the difference of going to the gym one day. It's not noticeable. But the compound effect of going to the gym day after day after day after day after day, eventually a month, 2 months, 3 months, 5 months, 6 months down the line, your body composition starts to change. You look different, you walk different, you show up different. Like the changes really start to come through as the compound effect has time to kick in. It's just these teeny tiny little decisions, these teeny tiny actions that are building up under the surface. They're shifting your life. They're changing the way that you are and you show up. But there's such small, microscopic changes every time you do the action that sometimes it feels like you're making no progress. You're not moving. Nothing's changing. And so when you do fall off track of your habit and when you do miss a day, it's so easy to just say, I missed a day and what's the point of keeping going because there's literally nothing happening. And so what's the point if I miss another day? I literally can't see anything. And then you fall back into that cycle where the further and further away you get from your habit, the easier and easier it is to stop showing up for it. It's easy to not do it the further away you get from your consistency. But you will never see the long-term lasting effects of the compound effect of these teeny tiny small actions that you're doing the right thing, you're making the right choices, you have the good habits in place. You never get to see that compound effect of the lasting results if you are not consistent and you're playing this yo-yo game where you're on the wagon, off the wagon, on the wagon, off the wagon. It's not going to work. But if you can commit to being consistent at least 50% of the time, those are great odds. And I love this philosophy from Andy Frisella. If you've ever heard his podcast about the power list, that concept changed my life. And his whole concept around the power list is you either win the day or you lose the day. Very simple, cut and dry. You won or you lost. And if you can look at that for over a 30-day period, did you win the month or did you lose the month? Well, let's go back and look at the days. Did you win at least 16 out of the 30 days in a month? Awesome. It's just like a football game. It's a point system. Even 1 point ahead, 16 points versus 15 points, you won. Now, if you can look at that over a year, did you win at least 7 out of the 12 months of the year? Awesome. If you did that and you lost 49% of the time, you messed up 49% of the time, where you didn't have a perfect day, it didn't go your way, life happened, things got in the way of your goals, 49% of the time. But 51% of the time, you crushed it. You won the day. You kept promises to yourself. You executed your habits. You showed up exactly how you were supposed to do and moved the needle forward 51% of the time. You won the year. And I will take that all day long. It takes the pressure off to be perfect because that's not possible. Back to I'm human. You're human. We're all going to make mistakes. Days are not going to go our way 100% of the time. But then we feel bad about it and we beat ourselves up about it. And we're in this shame cycle and negative self-talk and like, oh, I'm the worst. And the comparison game of, oh, they do it so much better than me. I just can't seem to get my life together. No, they're failing as much as you are too. They just keep going. They don't allow the one off day to completely derail them from their focus. They don't allow the bad day to get them to not show up tomorrow. It's a consistency game. So hopefully this helps reframe your mindset around what it takes to win a year and really move the needle forward. Because if you can win at least 51% of the time, you're winning. And then that changes the whole framework and whole mindset around this year's gonna be my year. Andy Frisella talks about this all the time, where he talks about it in that podcast around the power list. Go listen to it, it's phenomenal. Where people are like, oh, this year's gonna be my year. Where they're not changing anything, they're not doing anything different. They have the same habits, the same mindset, the same yo-yo style of being committed to their goals and then allowing mistakes to have them fall off track for an extended period of time. How is it going to be your year if nothing's changing? But if you can just start looking at, hey, if I'm winning 51% of the time, I won the year. You go into the next year with the same confidence, focusing on winning and implementing the stuff that you said you were going to do a majority of the time, at least 51% of the time. You're going to win that next year, and then the next year, and then the next year. And the compound effect of that over the long term, that's how you create whatever life you want and do transform yourself and your life in a big way. But it happens one decision at a time. It happens one commitment at a time. It happens by keeping that one promise to yourself today. And if you mess up, that's okay. Just get back on track tomorrow. People think it's this big grand thing that you have to do. No. Success is found in your daily routine. And we've heard that 1,000 times, but it's so true. Success is found when you keep promises to yourself. Success is found when you keep up with that consistency, regardless of how the day before went. So I want to encourage you in 2023, adopt the philosophy of never skip twice. Focus on that. Focus on winning and hitting your habits at least 51% of the time. And when 2023 is over, you can feel ultra confident going into 2024, knowing that you won the year and you are fully capable to go win the year, the next year, and the next year, and the next year, and ultimately go create whatever life you want from these compounded wins, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. So I hope this was helpful. If you got value out of this, definitely share this with a friend. They can be your accountability buddy for your consistency in 2023. I appreciate you. Thanks for listening.